Hello and welcome to my studio journal. Now back in 2022, I started to redesign my home studio, shifting from software to hardware for the first time. What began as a few videos for some curious students soon became an ongoing unfiltered record. That was what we were just looking at right there. That's the template. Those are the actual sizes of the printing that's going to be on the patch bay. And then what I do is I use these labels right here. They have removable, it's just a big label. That's all it is. The back has adhesive that just sticks onto whatever you happen to be putting this label onto. And in my case, it's going to be the patch bay. The next step is to print off this and then cut it out. We can see that everything's a little bit messy here, but the smoke will clear and everything will look fine again. And so this is what it looks like once it's printed out and ready to be put onto the patch bays. In fact, even if I just grab a patch bay from down here, you can kind of see how these match up. So I would rather use like an X-Acto knife or something like that to cut these, but unfortunately I don't have something like that handy. So I just have to plain old cut them out like this. My glasses aren't the best. So this should then be all three patch bays. If everything is working right, this should be a nice little setup. Whoop. I'm already off the lines. It's like being back in kindergarten where you're trying to cut on the lines of things. Of course, also, I'm working in my office. It's night, and the lights are good, but there's shadows all over the place, which makes it harder to see. These might be a little wavy when they get pasted to the patch bay. Okay, that's the zoom, the mixer. This one, if it's correct, is going to be all the stereo gear. So everything going into the Art MX 822, and I've yet to test any of this stuff out. I got a while back, so hopefully everything's actually working and that I don't find out that I got a dud of something and have to take it back. That would not be the best. And this one right here is the third patch bay, and this is going to be all the mic preamps, EQs, and all that sort of stuff. And so I have each patch bay is set up to do its own thing, so I kind of know where I'm looking. So now what I have to do is I have to cut these in half yet, peel off the back, put them on the patch bay, and then I do one more thing yet, put tape over them. While I'm at this point, I may as well get this part over and done with. I take, whoops, watch this go wrong right off the bat. I take tape and put it on there. Like that. Okay, so now I know for the next one. That's nice and smooth, that one right there. And the reason why I put this tape on there, and of course lost that end, is because then it doesn't pick up fingerprints and, you know, things like that. And if water gets on it, then nothing really goes wrong. That went on relatively smooth. It's a ridiculous way of kind of laminating it is really what it kind of is. Oh, okay, that just went wrong altogether. Why? Because the Scotch tape just sucked it right up into the... That wasn't the plan. That really wasn't the plan. Okay, well, it just kind of does it. That's interesting. Okay, so anyhow, so now all of that, everything on the actual label part is flat. And that, let's see if I can do... Just make this a little bit flatter. Okay. So then, of course, I have to recut all of this again, which is a bit of a pain to cut around the edges there. But then it's, like I said, it's kind of like laminated, so it doesn't, like if you touch this sort of stuff, it doesn't get all grungy because it's just regular paper. These labels just have a regular paper to them. So now I just cut off the excess stuff. And, oh, did something go wrong there? Let's see. What could possibly go wrong with doing this? It went, no, we're okay. It doesn't take too long to just clip off this extra tape. Curls a bit, but once it gets on the patch bay, there's no problem. Usually I do it right off the sheet the first time, so I don't have to try and fiddle around with this stuff. Okay, that's good. Maybe clean off these scissors here a little bit. And I still have to cut this strip in half yet before putting on the patch bay. But then I'll get all three wired. I'm almost thinking what I'll do is do the compressors in EQ first. Kind of thinking I'm going to go that route, because that might be a little bit easier, because that stuff, once it's connected, it's connected. I'm not going to have to worry about the other one. I might have, like, if with the instruments that I might have to rewire them differently. The compressors and the mic preamps, I think, are just the more straightforward of everything. Less cables, just simple ins and outs. So that's kind of what I might think of doing there instead. And then this strip is almost done. I just need to, like I said, cut them in half, and then we're good to go. And however it goes on, it goes on, because I know that I'm going to be getting some other things as well eventually. More along the lines of like Euro rack and stuff like this. I think I'm kind of done with all the bigger synths, the keyboards and that sort of stuff. I got everything there. And so some of these other spaces might fill up as well. Whoop, I didn't need to cut that much paper right there. Boy, that's gonna it's gonna be noticeable. Doesn't matter, I can't read this writing anyhow, it's so small. There we go. Cut it right there. And like I said, it looks like a bomb went off in here, and when everything clears, once the rack is back in its place and everything is set up, it'll be all nice and clean again. And I want to have it nice and clean for when I start teaching again on Monday. Having to use some of this stuff. There we go. Kind of laminated strips. Now we're going to have to put them onto the actual patch bay. Okay, I've been at this for like 8 hours, so I'm not overly confident that this is going to work. But we shall see. There we go. Okay, this one came off. Kind of. Apparently, okay, that's not that bad. All right, so now, the question is, which patch bay do we want to do first? Let's say this is the Zoom one. Okay, so now I'm going to have to cut this down the center. And all I used was Apple Sheets, whatever their version of that is. All right, so now we have two absolutely crazy thin strips here to try and put straight on there. That goes to 13, so this is going to be the first one. And now here is where it takes forever because of the way labels are made, of course. Oh, there we go. I forgot these guys actually were pretty good with it. They made a section that cuts there in the middle. So let's try not to put this on upside down. If we do something like that, I think we're okay. So do that. Along there, that takes us up to 12. And now do this next part here. Thank goodness they have these breaks, otherwise these labels would be really hard to put on. To try and peel off from the edge of something. Now let's make sure we got this going the right way. So can we have that kind of line up a little bit? If we do that, on here keep the numbers clear as much as we can. Let's see, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There we go. First patch bay is all numbered. So we have the submixer, the Korg, Mini Brute, Drum Brute, Nifty Case, the second sub, then just channels 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way up to where we get to here, 17, 18. And let's go back and we're just going to make sure that all these switches are set right. Anything that popped up is going to be a problem. Okay, so anyhow, that's the first patch bay. All right, so all the patch bays have been labeled. I believe it's all set up correctly. And then instead of hooking up that mixer first, which is this one up here, I think what I'm going to do is connect all the other compressors and everything else and start connecting everything with all those cables over there so I can at least get those cables out of here. And these are all the cables that are required to hook up the top units, and these are all the cables that are required to hook up the bottom. So it's a total of what, 26 cables to hook up this whole system. I'm actually going to plug everything into the patch bay before putting the patch bay into the rack. I almost forgot to label everything, so now I have to label the cords as I plug them in. If you'd like to follow the full journey, check out my online studio journal linked in the description. Until next time, I'm just a music teacher having fun. Catch you on the next one.